Yeah. Pretty much recovered. Yeah. I'm a fast healer. It's a hell of a shot, but I'm a fast healer. Yeah. Pretty much recovered.
Do you have any hearing damage from it?
No, it didn't hit that. I got very lucky. It just hit the lobe, as they call it.
Is there a scar on your ear?
Yeah, a little bit, not much. On top. A little.
He says the bullet hit him on the lobe and that he's a fast healer. I will let that video speak for itself. A stunning admission, I guess, at the bizarre and unhinged press conference that Donald Trump held yesterday at Mar-a-Lago, the purpose of which is unclear, but that's how Donald Trump answered. So you're claiming that an AR-15 bullet hit your ear and you didn't need stitches. There was no blood. I know you had, the bandage on your ear, but can we please just discuss the fact that a lot of that doesn't make any sense at all? Have you seen an AR-15 bullet before? Look, we've been covering this here at the MeidasTouch Network, the incident in Butler, Pennsylvania, with the seriousness which it deserves, right? The moment the shooting happened, we took it seriously. We condemned violence in all of its form. Political violence has no place here in the United States of America. In less than 48 hours, what did Donald Trump do? He sold Assassination Edition sneakers, and then he rolled out an entire line of Assassination Edition sneakers, not just the fight high tops, but a black sneaker, boots, and started making profit, making money off of this event. Meanwhile, Donald Trump continued to say it was a bullet, it was a bullet. It wasn't shrapnel, it wasn't glass. And it's like, oh, look, it's a serious event regardless. Hey, Donald, why don't you then release the actual medical records from Butler, Pennsylvania's hospital so we can see what the treating physician has to say? Instead, what does Donald Trump do? He has Ronnie Jackson, Mr. Candyman himself, the pill pusher himself, a MAGA Republican member of Congress who was disgraced and demoted from his position. He's not even a licensed physician anymore. He had Dr. Ronnie Jackson put out a statement about what happened. Why don't you just put out the actual medical record rather than someone who has zero credibility at all? Now let's take a look at what Christopher Wray from the FBI testified to about the shooting. Here, play this clip.
I think with respect to former President Trump, there's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that that hit his ear. So it's conceivable, although as I sit here right now, I don't know whether that bullet, in addition to, causing the grazing, could have also landed somewhere else. But I believe we've accounted for all of the shots in the cartridges. So
okay. I mean, all Christopher Wray was saying is, look, it could have been shrapnel. It could have been a part of the bullet. It could have been something else. It's not clear what it was. I mean, it seems that it was just like a nick. It wasn't anything. It wasn't like the injury itself. The incident itself was serious, but like the issue, Donald Trump, is you're exaggerating it and then you're grifting off of it. And so it turns this whole thing into something weird. And then you want to play the victim and you're like, why aren't you getting sympathy for it? It's because your behavior, even with something like that, is abhorrent. So then, of course, Donald Trump's got to post his memes because he's a petulant third grade bully or wannabe third grade bully. No offense to third graders. So then Donald Trump posts the following. He has to repost Tucker Carlson and say, Christopher Wray is a liar and a criminal. And I hope he's reading this. You're calling the Republican FBI director who you appointed, Donald Trump, and said he's a respected guy. This guy's a lifelong Republican. You're saying he's a criminal because he testified that he's not sure if it was the bullet or the shrapnel. So you're saying he's a criminal. worse yet, if you could even imagine a worse yet, Donald Trump then posts this meme. What did you know and when did you know about it? Read truth if you want to know who ordered the assassination of Donald Trump. So now you have to spread some unhinged conspiracy and have all of your surrogates push that. We know who did it. It was like a 20-year-old white male Republican from Pennsylvania who voted Republican, whose family are Trump supporters. He's a gun nut who's all into the fetishization of these military style weapons. It's a house and a family that your 2016 campaign targeted with propaganda. You created a database and a list of gun owners who you could radicalize. And that's who the shooter was. Why spread this conspiracy? And this is one of those things, folks, where I'm like, this shouldn't be a political issue, right? We should all look at the incident and say, very serious incident. We need to take this seriously. Regardless of if the bullet fragment hit or the this or the that, it was a serious incident that deserves real attention. And we should have adult conversations. You're posting memes like this, and then Laura Loomer, your surrogate, says, Trump retruth this, that Christopher Wray, the FBI director, may have been involved with or even ordered the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. This is what you and your crew are talking about. You're blaming the Republican FBI director. Everything with Donald Trump is like that. You go back to what he said, though, at the outset when he was asked a simple question during the press conference, and you saw how he answered that. But now just take a look here, for example, about Donald Trump's past record with his own records, medical records, tax records, whatever. Just bear with me here for a moment. Okay. So Donald Trump's prior doctor was a guy named Harold Bornstein, who passed away a few years back. Harold Bornstein wrote this letter from Donald Trump that said in 2015, and corporate media didn't call this out. They were like, okay, I guess we'll do with this. This is what Trump's doctor then said. If elected, Mr. Trump, I can state unequivocally, will be the healthiest individual ever elected to the presidency. Well, Dr. Harold Bornstein then confessed and said, I didn't write that. Donald Trump dictated. I just typed it out and put it on letterhead, but that came from Donald Trump. Here was the May 2018 report from CNN where that went down. Play this clip.
We ran into Dr. Harold Bornstein right here, right outside his office on Park Avenue, and he told us in no uncertain terms, and this is the quote, Aaron, he being Trump, he dictated that whole letter. I didn't write that letter, meaning that Trump dictated what he wanted to go into it, and essentially Bornstein wrote it up. He did say, he compared it to the movie Fargo, and he said it takes the truth and moves it in a different direction. Think about that. Now, Bornstein tells us that he was in a car with his wife when he was on the phone with then candidate Trump in December of 2015. And she was going through with Trump what he could say and what he couldn't say. Trump was dictating what he wanted in that letter. And Bornstein was saying, okay, you can say that, you can't say that. He then came here to the office. He wrote it up. Trump's office later picked it up. He said around 4 p.m. Aaron, we have reached out to the White House, but we have not gotten a response.
All right, so that's pretty incredible in and of itself. You also now, Alex, Bornstein is saying he was, quote unquote, robbed of the president's medical files. He spoke to you particularly about this encounter. What did he tell you?
Right. So he is saying this is a raid. Bornstein is saying that he was robbed. I specifically asked him, was a crime committed? He said they stole them, referring to the president's medical files. The they in that sentence are two men under the president's employ. The first, as you mentioned, is Keith Schiller, who was the president's longtime bodyguard here in New York. He then moved down to Washington with the president, worked in the White House as the head of Oval Office operations. The other person we understand is Alan Garten, who is an attorney for the Trump Organization. Now, Aaron, normally when you have medical records released, you need what's called a HIPAA released. We understand from Bornstein, he told us this afternoon, that was not signed. Instead, he says these two men barged through the back door, terrified the secretary, pushed aside the patient who was in there. Now, the White House is not contesting that they took possession of these medical files, but they are saying that it was not a raid. Instead, Aaron, they're saying that this was just standard operating procedure. Aaron.
And then at that time, Dr. Bornstein said that his doctor's office was raided by Keith Schiller, he says, Donald Trump's bodyguard, and others who then stole or took Donald Trump's medical records back. Here's what Bornstein said in 2018. Play this clip.
Exactly what they're looking for.
All his medical records, his pictures, anything they could find. We must have been here for 25 to 30 minutes. It created a lot of chaos. I couldn't believe anybody was making a big deal about a drug that's to grow his hair, which seemed to be so important. And it certainly is not a breach of medical trust to tell somebody they take Propecia to grow their hair. What's the matter with that?
So everything around the guy is shady and red flags. And why are you profiting off of the assassination edition sneakers? Could you imagine like Ronald Reagan going and selling sneakers? I went to the Reagan Library recently, out here in Southern California, there's things that say there's no limit to what a man can do or where he can go if he doesn't mind who gets the credit. Like there was quotes like that. Imagine, buy my assassination edition sneaker for $299. You just start looking at all of Donald Trump's records. He hid his tax records. Turns out never paid taxes or barely any taxes. You paid more taxes than Donald Trump. When we got the years 2015 to 2020, turns out 2020 he paid no taxes. 2017 he paid a filing fee of $750 but no taxes. 2016 $750. He claims in 2016 and 2017 he lost millions of dollars, which you judge for yourself. But then just take a look at other record keeping when it comes to Donald Trump. Medical records, tax records. How about this? That the accounting firm that was associated with Trump Media, Trump's SPAC, guess what? They were shut down by the SEC for engaging in a audit mill where they just pushed out alleged fraudulent audits to rubber stamp any company that wanted to go public without actually reviewing the financials themselves. And the legitimate auditors quit on Donald Trump. Or how about this? And this is an important one because as you see Donald Trump with his memes attacking FBI Director Christopher Wray, saying Christopher Wray's a criminal, calling the FBI director a criminal. Are you kidding me? So Donald Trump was also posting memes yesterday of Governor Tim Walz, who served our nation in the military with distinction. 24 years, rising to the highest civilian position in the military, was the highest ranking military man in the House of Representatives. Governor Tim Walz served our country admirably. Now, Donald Trump, with his bone spurs and his cowardice and his failure and lying and draft dodging, Donald Trump is calling Governor Walz someone with stolen valor. I want you to watch this. This was Donald Trump on the Howard Stern show, where Donald Trump said that his Vietnam was purportedly not getting STDs. Play this clip.
Dating, right? And when you got to say to a woman, hey, listen, you got to go to my personal doctor and I'm going to have you checked out. Is that a tough thing to say to a woman, or you just got the balls to say it?
You know, I tell you, it's amazing. I can't even believe it. I've been so lucky.
Right.
In terms of that whole world.
You've never gotten a social disease.
It is a dangerous world out there.
It is.
Scary. It's like Vietnam, sort of like, the Vietnam era.
It is your personal Vietnam, isn't it?
It is my personal
It is. You've
Vietnam.
said that many
I feel
times.
like a great and very brave soldier.
Oh.
And then you want to actually see stolen valor? How about when Donald Trump spoke in front of the Young Republicans, a group of kids and teenagers and young adults, the Young Republicans of New York? The speech that Donald Trump gave is he said, the bravest thing I did in my life, and a general said this to him. He goes, a general said, I've seen people fight for our country and die in combat and die in war. But Donald, the bravest thing I've ever seen is when you were bragging about sexually assaulting women, Donald. And then you were asked a question about it. And you said that bragging about sexually assaulting women is locker room talk. And that was the bravest thing that anyone's ever done, including wars in the United States of America. That's what Donald Trump says to a group of young adults and kids. Here, play this clip.
But I went onto that stage just a few days later, and a general, who's a fantastic general, actually said to me, "Sir, I've been on the battlefield. Men have gone down on my left and on my right. I stood on hills where soldiers were killed. But I believe the bravest thing I've ever seen was the night you went onto that stage with Hillary Clinton after what happened. And then that woman asked you the first question about it. And I said, locker room talk. It's locker room talk. What the hell? What are you talking? Locker room talk." That was not a great...
Now, I suppose that's, is that better or worse than when Donald Trump went to a high school and talked about how he doesn't like when hookers give him golden showers, when Donald Trump spoke at an actual high school and made the point of his speech. This was in the past 6 months. In Iowa, 6-7 months ago, at a high school, said, yeah, you know what? I just told Melania I don't like getting peed on by hookers. That's what your speech is? What are we talking about? Play this clip.
He was with 4 hookers. You think that was good that night to go up and tell my wife, "It's not true, darling. I love you very much"? It's not true. Actually, that one she didn't believe because she said he's a germaphobe. He's not into that, you know? He's not into golden showers, as they say they call them. He's not. I don't like that idea. No, I didn't. I thought that would be a big problem. I was going to have a rough night, but that one she was very good on. She said, no.
It is important that we all wake up and see what's happening. Hear it for yourself. Hear it in your own words. Share these videos. Let people know what's up. We got to call this out together. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers. Have a great day. It's free to subscribe to this channel.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.